don't know, buying a car. I mean, what if we get in trouble?
Why are you always concerned about getting in trouble?
Because you always getting me in trouble.
Welcome to Kenan Kel with Adam and Aaron. I'm Adam.
I'm Aaron.
And this is a podcast where we go through every single episode of Kenan and Kel.
Everyone.
We're not stopping till it's over.
The Kenan and Kel, also known as the greatest 90s show of all time.
It's a pretty classic 90s Nickelodeon sitcom. I believe it aired from, 96 to 2000?
Yep.
We're starting off with the pilot episode, lovingly titled Pilot.
And Adam, really quick, let's just tell the people how we became such big Kenan and Kel fans.
Oh, man.
It was the bootleg DVD version that you...
Yeah. So I originally watched the show, not when it aired. I would be I think 3 to 7 when it first aired. But it was very popular. Repeat time was around when we were having dinner, 5 to 6 p.m. They would show a block of Kenan and Kel, so I would get lucky and watch a couple episodes back then. In high school, I wanted to rediscover the series, so I found, I think for $40 at the time, a DVD box set online, which it's a bootleg. It's someone recorded, Teen Nick and
printed out a piece of some artwork of Kenan and Kel, stuck it in the front cover.
And I think the smell of the box set has just about worn off by now. It's really...
The smell?
Yeah, it has a super chemically, I don't want to be trapped in a room with it. But it's... the funny thing is that's where... they still haven't done a big official box set. And
that's it. That's the one. $40.
Yeah. You're watching the show on Amazon, and
yep.
Some of the episodes aren't even posted on there, which is gonna be interesting when I have the only...
Cannot be found. Yeah. I find it very interesting that the show only aired for 4 years, because it was I feel like it's a classic.
Yeah, 4 years and 4 seasons is pretty good for a sitcom.
Yeah, and we used to go. Well, first off, we should say that we're brothers, and so
yes.
we would go on family trips together, and my dad would hook up the big. This is way back. He would hook up the big box TV, and he would strap it down with bungee cords, and I would sit in the back with my sister, and then Adam would sit in that first seat behind the driver, and then we'd watch on this big box TV in the car when we were driving, in the minivan when we were driving, and we would watch Kenan and Kel, and among other things, Lost in Space and whatever we had. But yep, that was how I was introduced to Kenan and Kel. For me, it's a classic.
Yeah, thinking back, it was probably a pretty unsafe system. We should have really gotten a car with one of those screens built in. Oh,
that was too soon. We did this with that 2001
it's true, yeah.
Town and Country.
You have a VHS playing car.
Did they ever make one? Oh goodness.
Yeah,
a VHS car. That's funny.
All right, so I think we're gonna start off the episode with your what were you calling it, a Dan Carlin style intro.
People used to be relatively disconnected from each other. For millennia, the only contact most people had was with members of their own tribes, with their families and immediate neighbors. There were 2 types of conversations within these interactions: conversations about story or myth, and conversations about survival. When it came to relations with neighboring tribes, there were again 2 options: barter or war. And so bartering became the way people of different groups came together to negotiate. We'll give you 6 sheep for 12 furs, and we'll trade you these 1,000 arrows if you use them against our foes instead of us. The exchange rate was set, and it was based wholly on value. Before money, the only measure of value was practicality. If bartering didn't go as planned, you stood almost no chance of leaving any interaction alive. Each and every interaction with neighbors was dangerous and unknown. To make matters worse, many people didn't have the connections to get their goods out to the people who needed them. For a brief moment, I want you to imagine a device. This device simplifies the notion of connection between dissimilar people. This device allows for somebody, anybody, who has something they want to sell or trade, a platform to connect with potential traders and buyers in a non-lethal manner. Imagine this device was small enough to be placed on, say, a desk in somebody's bedroom, but powerful enough to share your desires with dozens of members in your neighboring community. Well, you don't have to do any more imagining, because this device already exists. In fact, it forever changed the nature of human communication. It's called a personal computer. And a young and youthful and jubilant Kenan Rockmore of Chicago has one in his bedroom.
And that was it.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was great.
Good.
Yeah. Well, the episode. Let's get right into it. The Coolio intro.
By far, I know I'm going to say that everything in this show is the greatest, and I'll try to be realistic, but this one actually is the greatest introduction, the greatest theme song of any TV show ever.
It's pretty fun. The editing, I know the editing like stands the test of time.
It's quality. The camera angles change from high to low, spanning, and
I think he's like Coolio like starts off like crawling inside like the Disney Universal logo, not Disney, Nickelodeon Universal logo, or
yep. And they end with it. It's like goes full circle. The theme song tells a story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, top to bottom, begin to end. It talks about how they're like a classic comedy duo, and they get into trouble. It's very good. I love how it ends and transitions too. They all just gather up on the big orange couch and slowly get into the episode.
Yep, and then every episode starts with Kenan on center stage.
It's crazy that there's a sitcom that goes on, and then there's like they introduce it and outroduce it, but like sometimes they know what's going on in the episode, sometimes they don't.
It's very, very confusing. But in this first episode, at least, it seems like Kenan definitely knows what's going on, and Kel never knows.
No, he's along for the ride. But at the same time, he has a fantastic intro where he comes in like with a hat and cape, and he's like, it's a show. His sequined outfit. Kenan does a big intro to him. Do you know do you remember what the 3 titles that he had for Kel were?
Oh, yes. So the first one is the wait. Oh no, I just wrote down the last one.
Okay.
It's
a Master of Funk, the King of Cool.
I know this one. I know the last one. The Lord of Love.
Yep.
And Kenan voice cracks on when he says love. It's so great.
Yeah.
I'm the Lord of Love. Kel.
They go
the
into
Lord of Love.
They go into like it's like a Birds and the Bees style like talk about growing up, and the most important part about growing up, of course, is getting a car.
And then Kel is confused.
Yeah. So the episode, as we're about to get into it, it's all about Kenan not being old enough to drive a car, but still wanting a car for, I guess, the cool factor.
Yes, Kenan wants a car even though he's not allowed to have a car. What he's going to do with the car, where he's going to park the car, how he's going to pay for the car, how he's going to drive the car, that doesn't matter. What does matter is that he wants a car, and he's going to do everything he can to get it.
Yep. So we do our first of many Kel shouting, "Aw, here it goes." Which it's he does it all the time. I don't know exactly what it means.
Well, you do know that the name of the theme song is "Aw, Here It Goes" by Coolio.
Yeah, I believe it's based off Kel saying it, and here it goes. It is the episode, I guess.
It is the circumstance. Okay, it is the is the predicament to come.
Okay, but he says at the end as well. That's the thing. If he had like a different, like, there it went. But
No, this is how we know Kel. We know Kel through the lens of here it goes.
yeah, I suppose we do.
I feel like a lot of us operate that way.
That we have one sentence that defines us.
No. We're like walking through life, and then something comes up, and you're just like, oh, here it goes. Like another bad day.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he's usually the victim in Kenan's schemes, so he's got like a nonchalant, lackadaisical attitude about it.
He does play the victim complex very well, though. Very friendly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you feel bad for him. But also, he causes a lot of these problems.
That is something I wanted to look at the end of this episode and every episode. Whose fault was it? Kenan's, Kel's, both, or neither? I
like, yeah. We'll address that later on.
Sure. All right, so getting into it here, we start with an exterior shot of Rigby's, which I don't think that happens like in any other episode. But you see, Chris is selling some melons and getting Kenan's help. It's a pretty, I was thinking about this in like kind of a general sense. It's a pretty basic, like low stakes environment show. Where it's like the sets are, it's like, all right, Kenan's family's house, his room, the grocery store he works at, sometimes school, and that's, it's very low stakes.
Yep. But somehow each episode, it seems like the whole entire world is hanging in the balance.
Yeah, no, their whole world and livelihood, everything that's important to them is on the line. Except not livelihood, because Kenan's job is malpractice. Should not be.
Kenan's job seems pretty secure.
Yeah, he and Chris have a very high stake. Let's get into it, because they exchange a lot of money very fast.
Yes,
I noticed. We start off with Kenan, talking to Kel about how much he wants to get a car.
Yep.
And Kenan wants to get a car for various reasons. One of which I like a lot is that he's talking to Kel and we can go on dates. To which Kel replies,
I want to date you? Not me, man. Girl.
which is
not me, you dummy. That's Kenan's reply.
Yep, that's pretty good.
My favorite part about this is how Kel walks in with a box.
Yes.
A box of things that he owns that he wants to sell to make money.
Yep, for a car, presumably. So Kenan has talked about, he's got $400 saved up, which I did a little 1996 money versus money today.
Oh, let's see it.
Some inflation stuff. $400, about $660.
Okay.
So that's a good amount of money for someone in high school.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, Kel's got his stuff that he wants to sell to make the money. But that's not their first scheme for money this episode. It's a prize in a cereal box.
In what cereal, Adam?
Google Puffs.
The cereal is called Google Puffs. It looks kind of like
Fruit Loops, right?
Yeah, Fruit Loops, but not really loops. Just colorful, like pastel cereal. Yeah, Fruit Loops is a good one. A good way to describe it. But it's called Google Puffs. That's GOOGL Puffs.
Yeah.
So it begs the question, which came first? Google Puffs or Google? And a little bit of research would show you that this episode was released July 15th, 1996, and Google was founded on, I believe, September 4th, 1998.
Yep, so 2 years ahead of it.
So it's we have good reason to believe that now the word Google wasn't invented by Kenan and Kel, but made famous, made popular, kind of likely.
Yeah, I think the I don't know his name. I don't know like the Bill Gates style guy, but the CEO of Google clearly is a Kenan and Kel fan.
Absolutely, without a doubt, or somebody in his family was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what should I name my company? this tech company.
So inside a box of Google Puffs is a golden monkey, which is a $10,000 grand prize.
In the cereal box.
Yes, it's pretty, high stakes, a lot of money. I think aren't most like kid contests for stuff, not like actual money, right?
Yeah, I don't remember in my childhood having a cereal box with that much monetary value inside. Usually it's just like, oh, maybe win a trip to like the aquarium or cash this in at your local McDonald's for XYZ prize. It's I don't really remember $10,000. But anyways, it becomes a means for Kenan to buy a car.
Yes, and they immediately destroy Rigby's entire inventory in pursuit of this gold monkey. How many boxes?
700.
700 boxes.
Could you imagine in this small store that's somewhere in the back, they have 700 boxes of cereal?
Yeah, that's insane.
I don't. Anyways,
there's not $700 in like a giant, like a grocery store down the street.
No, it's like a corner market.
Yeah,
700. Anyways,
maybe I'll save all the money for the end, but yeah, it's a lot. It's worth a lot. We'll get into it later.
Probably more than the car.
Yeah. Chris immediately gets upset and says that this money is coming out of your paycheck. Which, yeah, all right, let's talk about the money. Back in 1996, a box of Kellogg's cornflakes went for like about $2.50.
Okay.
So in 2019, that's like, a little over $4. So 700 boxes, $2.50 a piece. We're talking.
Oh my goodness.
$1,743. So yeah, that's. I'm not sure how much Kenan made at a grocery store, but that's probably like a year's salary,
or something like that.
At
least a few months. Yes. That I my favorite part about this is Kenan's drive, but like a blind drive to get money.
Yeah, they immediately destroy every box in there, and then they're on to the next thing.
Everything they're doing is from the start is so impulsive, no foresight. Mm-hmm. Of course. I mean, that the show wouldn't be fun without that. But still,
this episode in particular is pretty breakneck in its pace.
It covers all the bases of ridiculous.
As a pilot episode, it's kind of their opportunity to show the network, like, hey, this is all the fun stuff these characters can do.
Right.
Which, makes sense, but also it shows them going through real quick.
They are tearing through that store. They are tearing through this episode.
All right, so they're, what's their second plan for getting money?
Wait, what is it?
Whoa. In Kel's box of junk, Chris discovers his early edition Skunkator comics, which it becomes a running character. Later, Kenan talks about Skunkator, and they have a whole episode about like a Comic-Con. But yeah, no, he says that those comics could be worth thousands because they're the first scratch and sniff comics.
Skunkator, scratch and sniff.
Yep.
This actually is my favorite line of the episode. Skunkator, half man, half skunk, from the planet Pew. Just genius writing, genius character development, all in that one line. So excellent. Well done. Well done, Dan Schneider.
I like the follow-up to it where Chris scratches the comic, shares it with them, and they're like, oh man, it smells terrible because Skunkator, get it? But he replies, that's just the human half.
It's like, what kind of comic? What kind of? First off, I don't really understand Chris's relationship with comics. Now I know his uncle is a comic dealer, but I just, why is he's a store owner? He loves comics.
He's kind of a nerd. He's a 90s nerd that owns a store
with a mullet.
Yeah, the mullet is lasts for a while. He also has a twitch, as first seen in the Google Puffs moments, which I think we talked about this. It doesn't like I think they dropped that after this episode.
Yeah, I could see why it becomes kind of cumbersome to keep. It's very aggressive, and it just takes away from the whole scene because of course he's upset, but then you just throw in this twitch. It's a good 15 seconds of him twitching in this episode. So
yeah, they could have used that time wiser,
or maybe not.
Yeah, but okay. So the other thing is that so his relationship with comics is that he immediately quotes them as being worth thousands, but doesn't know enough about. I noticed that, but this when I first watched the episode, but he doesn't realize that scratching them is defacing them.
Doesn't that don't you think? Don't you if you know things about comics? Don't you know that comics need to be bagged and boarded? Need to be in pristine condition.
Yeah. No, he's just complete disregard for that. So Kenan strikes a deal with him that, which not the best deal, where he goes, all right, you get as much money as you can from your uncle. I don't want to know what it is. Don't surprise me with the amount of money that you get. But come back here and you'll get 5%.
5% seems like a pretty good deal if they're worth thousands.
But yeah, so that's the deal that they make. So let's head. I guess we're gonna head back to Kenan's house. So this is the first time we see it in the flesh. Kenan's room with his assorted walls.
Kenan has everything you could imagine on his walls. My two favorite pieces, of course, are the Whitney Houston poster and then MLK right above his bed. It's just...
I like the private property sign, which might be stolen.
Probably is stolen private property sign.
Yeah. So let's see. First, we talk about Kenan is posting on his computer about the car.
On this computer that you heard about previously in the intro. this device that can do so many things. But my favorite part about this scene is Kenan types something in, presses enter, and walks away. And you can hear the dial-up computer. You can hear it chugging away and beep, beep, boop, boop, boop.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, it's so funny. You can, if you listen closely, you can hear it.
I also where was he posting to? There's no...
Wait, yep. Was it Craigslist? Was it
This was a time when the internet was a big mystery box where they just...
It was just online forums and poorly coded websites that, the borders went all the way to the edge of the screen and it cut off. And yes, this whole thing about the computer, it is very funny the way they use it. But again, back then, to have a computer in his room, that was probably really cool.
Yeah, of course.
He was probably, one of the few.
It was many years before I got I guess high school. So here's a fun fact that I wanted to get into. What age do you think Kenan and Kel are in this episode?
I think they're 15.
Yeah, 15 would be my guess, because not old enough to drive, but they're just barely there.
Yeah, I was thinking 15, because he's working, and you can get working papers at 14, but...
So I found that the episode, season 1 of Kenan and Kel, was recorded between April and August of 1996. And I ran that through the ages of Kenan and Kel, Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell, and it looks like, and I found out that their actual age during this filming was both their birthdays are in the middle, so their age is 17, which is
wow.
I think that's going to get worse as the years progress.
Yep.
Because if they're starting at that, and I think in the graduation episode there's class of 2000.
Right.
So. Yeah, no, they're going to be, low 20s in not too long.
When they graduate, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny though, but this whole show spans their high school career. It's a perfect little kind of beginning and end bookmark to the Kenan and Kel story.
Yeah. So Kyra interrupts them spying in the closet, which I thought it was neat that Kyra, the same actress who later will stay for the whole show, is here, but way younger.
Right. Ridiculously young, and has a crush on Kel.
Yes.
A crush that doesn't go away.
No, I noticed in later episodes, Kel's kind of like not a fan, and this one he's just like okay with it, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
Yeah, and they, Kenan threatens to tell mom about how she broke the TV. Kenan actually broke the TV, which isn't a good bluff, I think, because Kyra can immediately run to her mom and blame Kenan.
Yeah, again, this is one of those situations where it's like, okay, we're actually learning a little bit more about Kenan, and we're learning about Kyra and their relationship, but in that same time, we're learning about, like, okay, Kenan will do whatever he will do and say whatever he wants to get what he wants, and this is kind of one of his like ultimate character flaws.
Yeah, I agree with that, and we start to get into that too in the follow-up scene where it's at the dinner table, which not in the kitchen where it normally is.
No,
in the pilot, it's like it's in the living room space.
Right, and everybody is sitting on the same side of the table.
It's some Last Supper seating arrangements.
Very lazy, very lazy filming, but I mean, we get the point. But it's just funny. Because like it's immediately awkward.
Yeah, with their budget, I don't think they had the room for like the 70s show like 360 cam and full sets and stuff like that. So the show it's filmed in front of a live studio audience in Orlando, Florida, which is and the whole thing's set up like a stage production, which is pretty. I like that a lot.
Right.
I think later shows in the Dan Schneider universe, like Drake and Josh, do that like a little less. Like they kind of show the walls more.
Yeah, it's more of a house setting, and it's more of more closed in,
canned laughter and stuff like that. So
right.
it feels very authentic, which is good.
Yep.
But yeah, like I was saying, we learned that Kenan ran into trouble in school. Where he what was his crime that he committed?
He glued his teacher's pants or skirt or whatever to her chair.
Yep. Which upsets his dad.
Very, very aggressively. This is my favorite moment. This might be my favorite moment of the first episode. Kenan's dad, the first line, the first words he say, he's just yelling from the start. Without, like, this seems like this actor's first gig and his first lines.
He seems. I don't know his history, and we'll definitely get into it throughout the show. But he seems like one of those like wrestler types, like The Rock was.
Yep. He's just like aggressive, big, mean, scary, bald.
Yeah, all that fun stuff. So
That's not funny.
Yeah, Kenan, that's not funny.
Kenan, I want you to apologize to that woman first thing in the morning.
Yeah, yes, sir.
but he's immediately upset with Kenan. Commands him to apologize to the substitute teacher tomorrow, who I hope is still there because being a substitute and all.
Yeah, right.
Then they're interrupted by the phone ring.
Ring. Who's on the other line?
It is Kel, who is impersonating WHBQ radio.
And Kenan's dad, Mr. Rockmore, is thrilled. He goes, "Oh, the radio station's on the phone."
Yeah, not that it's like a contest that calls you. It's pretty.
Nobody questions it though.
No.
Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, the radio station's calling."
And in a fun callback. So, do you remember what they found in the Google Puffs boxes?
They found 3 circus tickets.
Yes. So they use those circuit tickets, which I think it's a good use of resources, later to sell them to their parents in a game of so they have to. The radio contest is the question is, what time is it?
He's like, "What time is it? What time is it?"
7:43.
Yep.
Yep. So they win tickets to the circuits
Because everybody, this is great. This is great. They are so excited about the circus. How expensive are these tickets that you're that excited about it? But anyways, their cheer and their delightment is very much appreciated.
Yeah, no, it's genuine, that's for sure.
It's genuine.
And I feel like there is like a bit of script here that was missed, or like just to keep the whole episode going, they kind of skip some parts. But Kyra and Kenan's parents are going, and Kenan's not. He's just hanging out at home.
What is he wearing?
It's like a robe over just sweatsuit, right?
Yeah, it's like he's wearing an all green, like a dark green robe, and he has green shoes on, and he just is wearing all green.
Yeah. It's made like to appear like Kenan pretended that he was sick.
Yep.
And then like, oh no, they're gone, party's on, but like none of that's like implicitly said. But so they leave for the circus, and the first seller arrives. Yeah, the guy's got a 12-year-old car, and he wants to sell it for $6,000, which in today's money is something is about 10,000, which is
that's a nice used car.
1984 car.
Yeah.
10,000. I think that's in line with modern day scaling.
Yeah, but I mean, let's just back up for a second. The fact that Kenan can put something on the internet and the next day somebody knocks on his door. So do you realize what he did? He put his address on an online forum in Chicago
at
saying
15,
that he wants to buy a car, meaning he has enough money or a checkbook to buy a car. Come to this address tomorrow at this time.
And people just saw like a general buying all cars. Money is no object, right? That's what he says.
That's a famous line. What is he thinking?
Yeah, this is a terrible plan. Because, before Chris arrives with the money, 21 residents, local Chicago Knights, arrive and populate his parents' home.
So there's 21 people trying to sell their cars.
Now, that's not 21 cars.
No.
There's a couple was the second
Probably
group.
about 15 cars.
Yeah.
But these people are just hanging out. They're just enjoying themselves in the house. There's no hors d'oeuvres. There's no TV on. They're just chit-chatting.
I wonder what they're talking about. Like, how are they going to buy all these cars?
No, not one person asked that question.
Yeah, that's right.
Not one person questioned the fact that they were entering somebody's home, and the somebody was a 15-year-old with his friend who was also 15.
Yeah, and so Chris arrives on the scene, and this might be this might be my favorite line of the episode. What Chris's excuse for being late? He couldn't find parking.
Yep.
That's clever. That's really good.
It is good writing right there. Yeah.
He breaks the news that following his classic twitch, the other 7.5 seconds of his twitch, that his comic books are worthless because they had been overly scratched and sniffed by him. So
this is quite profound. Not only are they not worth thousands of dollars, they are completely worthless.
Zero.
Not even worth $20. I have personally ventured out into the whole flipping world and going to yard sales and finding stuff and selling it on eBay and all that. And comic books do pretty well, especially if they're in good condition. That you might not get as much money for them as you would if they were bagged and boarded. But if you just get like a good condition comic book from the 80s, you're probably gonna make $7 on them. But so $0 is very disappointing. From thousands, multiple thousands, so that's at least 2,000 to 0. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I was running the numbers for like how much money they have cost to Rigby's and stuff like that, which I want to continue to do throughout the episode, throughout the whole show. But yeah, no, that immediately like throws it all off. So it's like, wow, Chris is almost in debt to Kenan. he took their property, defaced it.
Yep.
And if they had an insurance plan on that, like he would owe them like those thousands of dollars, if not more.
Yeah, it's really interesting because within 15 minutes, right, we go from like a problem, right? I need a car, to like Kenan destroying however much thousands of dollars worth of his inventory, to Chris destroying thousands of dollars worth of Kenan's property or Kel's property.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's nil, it's zilch, right? It's back to square zero, right? Square one.
we're like truly like I wasn't expecting 4 digits worth of
Yeah, already.
in the pilot episode
No.
at 15. Like
no,
that's
it's
yeah. Insane.
Yeah, I'm glad not like they didn't break the. And the broken TV. If you want to throw that in.
Wait a second. When did they break the TV?
Oh, it was before this episode.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
remember?
Okay, yeah. Technically,
Technically.
I'm not counting that. That's
Okay.
That's hearsay. There's no.
There's no proof.
Yeah, right. Conflicting information about who broke
Right.
the TV.
Right.
So yes, they react loudly, and everyone in the space gets mad at them. And they hear more ringing at the doorbell, and it's circus
The circus goers.
goers, their parents and Kyra, mouth agape as they shut the door and are trapped between them angrily ringing the doorbell and being swarmed. Which, in a regular Kenan and Kel, this would be it. Like, it'd be over here. But for some reason, they went so fast, they've got another, 10 minutes to go.
They wanted to cram everything they possibly could into this pilot.
Yeah, it's a pilot. I guess they want to show everything, so they have to show off crime.
Let's get into it. Let's explain this next scene.
Yeah. Okay. So after I guess the commercial break, they're back in Rigby's, upset, which is, for a second I thought we could have just started the episode here too. Like, this is.
Yep. It's 2 episodes crammed into one.
Yeah. Kenan and Kel have been both grounded for 6 years by Kenan's dad.
Yep.
Which.
Quite the authority figure in this show already. From episode 1.
I also like that immediately 6 years. That's beyond the span of the show.
Yep.
So the whole show, Kenan's grounded.
From the beginning to the very end.
Yeah. So I believe as we'll go on that phrase will be meaningless. One of the customers overhears them. The only customer, I should add. It's a tiny corner shop.
Yes.
And he points to a great car that he has outside. Asks how much do you have, which is always perfect. That's a legitimate deal if they ask you how much you got.
Yep. Always. He was very clearly, an honest and upright guy. Walking
Yes.
into a store saying, "Hey, do you want to buy a car?"
He has a good excuse, I thought, that it's his mother's car and she doesn't really drive it that often.
Right. Yeah. It was. He was quick on his feet for sure.
But yeah, for $400 or $660, that's not, in modern numbers, it's not a lot.
No, especially for a nice car. He didn't. Kenan and Kel didn't for a second question it.
No, they are pretty quick to trust him. Kenan drops his pants to procure his $200 that is strapped to his legs, I guess.
Yep, strapped to his thigh.
So, is it just me? Well, I guess I don't know about the crime rates in Chicago. Maybe it is safer there than in his pockets.
I mean, it's possible.
My first thought when I saw that, I'm like, wouldn't that just kind of slip down eventually?
Yeah, I feel like that would be the most uncomfortable place to I mean, because think about it. It's strapped to your leg. You have dollars strapped, and they're touching your skin.
Yeah.
What happens if you get sweaty? Right? It's like, what happens if you spill something on your pants? I don't know.
I'd sooner strap them to my chest, or maybe in like those under the shoulder gun holster things.
Also, could you imagine carrying half of your life savings around in your
$200
strapped to your leg? What? Why are you carrying that around in the first place?
Also, those are some fat stacks for $200.
They're all 5s and singles.
They make a deal since he's got the other half in his underwear drawer. Key for $200 now and title for $200 later, which continues to extend this bad deal. Because, if you have the car and not the... what's Kenan supposed to do? Just... If a cop pulled him over, he'd be like, I don't own this car right now, but the title's getting here tomorrow.
Well, he also can't drive yet. So how is he... I don't understand.
Yeah, the car could be parked in some bad place.
Like it is. When
Yes.
the police officer shows up.
So yeah, did you notice that the audience must have seen the police officer before?
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah. So the audience immediately, so they make the deal. Kenan Kel are celebrating with Chris, and the audience goes, "Oh,
Oh no.
and then the door opens up and you see the police officer.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that had to be like a set thing.
What have you done, and who did you do it to?
No, man, we got a car, man. Check it out. C-A-R-A.
Hey, whose blue car is that parked out front?
It is.
Huh?
But yeah, no, the police officer tells him that the car is parked illegally, and it's stolen. So, smash cut to them breaking down. It was in this moment that I noticed that Kel doesn't do too much this episode. He's kind of along for the Kenan's ride.
Yep, yeah, it's pretty much Kenan's show, Kenan's world.
Yeah, I think in the next episode, from what I recall, that there's a very notable paradigm shift.
Right.
When Kel becomes like the breakout star.
And Kel becomes the the Kel that we all know and love, but it's in this first episode where Kenan and his almost his like ability to create plans and to plot and to kind of manipulate circumstances to get his way, like that's where this is born. And yeah, Kel is kind of an observer, but then of course we'll see as we go through this podcast and this show. Not so much.
No. He becomes the trouble.
He becomes, yes, and Kenan becomes responsible.
Again, that's why I want to pay attention to how the two, like whose fault it is, to get a final number in the end, like who's truly the worst power.
Yep.
So Kenan makes a deal with the police officer to hope to possibly get his money back, but more importantly, assist them in a sting operation to try and arrest the car thief.
So Kenan puts on a wire.
Yes, a very big wire for
a big wire. It's very clearly like not. It's, like the props on the show, it's like a shoelace, with something taped to it. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so. Anyways, it's a wire.
Yeah, and they agree on a password phrase for them to say when the transaction's going on, which they immediately don't need. If they're listening in and they hear Kenan talk, like making a transaction, as he does in the episode, very clearly points out that he's trading the title for the money.
Yep.
He doesn't need a passphrase, and they should have picked something, that a normal person might say ever.
Like a pretty common phrase, but they don't. They pick, quite frankly, the most ridiculous phrase they could, and I mean, in that stressful circumstance, the hardest to remember phrase.
Yeah, right.
Which causes a lot of humor, I would say, in this episode. But Adam, what's the phrase?
The chipmunk has pneumonia. So, yeah, it's
the chipmunk has pneumonia.
What's great is that, like, pneumonia is a tough word, like just on paper.
Yeah,
like, it's got silent letters and it's not.
Yep. Nope. The chipmunk has pneumonia. Okay, so what I'm noticing as I'm kind of looking back at this episode and we're going through it, like Kenan and Kel are wearing a different outfit than the first day when he's wearing the wire. So I do think this was 2 episodes that they crammed into one, because think of all the interactions that Kenan would have had at home and Kenan talking to Kel and planning, and I don't know. It seems like there's a lot that is left out for sure.
Yeah, it's possible. They said it was going to be the next day,
right?
And I don't know how much on the screen. So on the first day, Kel's trait, important thing. He's drinking a bottle of orange soda, a 2-liter.
Yes.
Which becomes a very big thing in a couple episodes.
Who loves orange soda?
Kel loves orange soda.
Yes, he does.
But. Yeah, and in this episode, if you notice on the cash register, there's 2. One has been emptied, and another one is ready to go. So add that to their tally. The first of many, 3 2-liters of orange soda.
Sign of things to come.
Yep. But yeah, no. The car thief arrives, and they cannot remember the passphrase. They try a bunch of stuff, which is increasingly far from it. And then, so again, the police officers are clearly hearing the transaction go take place.
Yeah, they're listening in their van and they're wondering like, oh, what are these guys saying?
Why are they talking about the title? What do you think that's going on?
Yep. What were some of the phrases? Do you remember?
Like the squirrel has a fever. I think it's one of them.
Yep. It was like yeah, the monkey has diarrhea. No, I don't know.
Fortunately, Kenan's parents arrive on the scene to pick up pistachio nuts for their Aunt Bertha.
Not pistachios. Pistachio nuts.
Yes, right. Pistachio nuts.
This is probably when they first hit the market.
Right. Yeah. They're fresh. They're red, I think. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Originally from their the way they were shipped and handled.
Yep.
But for Aunt Bertha, who has pneumonia, which reminds them the chipmunk has pneumonia. The cops rush in, and did you think that they were going to like arrest Kenan's dad?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was my.
They rush in, and they look at Kenan's dad, who's this tall African American guy, bald, strong. He's like 6'4" at least.
He's the scariest guy in there, just from his physical like appearance.
Always intimidating.
Yeah.
He's a whole 8 inches, 10 inches taller than Kenan.
And I think in another episode that exact thing happens. They mistake him for someone else. Oh, there's going to be an episode this season about how they think he's a jewel thief.
Oh yeah. Oh, I cannot wait. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, but then they very quickly say, no, it's that guy. Meanwhile, not too important, but Chris is out getting them Chinese food. He comes back with Chinese food, and they crash into him. And he says the funniest thing you can say about Chinese food, I guess, which is like, oh no, the poo-poo platter. They go to a restaurant again in season 1, and poo-poo platter becomes another joke. Just
yep.
You get it. They're saying poo-poo. Haha.
It's comedy gold, actually. How many like jokes can you make about poop and skunks and farts, and this is comedy gold.
Yeah, that's like the most 90s Nickelodeon stuff about the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Scatological humor. but just a hint of it, just the right amount.
It's clean.
Yeah, it's pretty clean.
But it's still a little dirty.
They arrest the guy, and the police officer, instead of saying something like a police officer might say, or you might want him to say, like, oh, thank you so much for helping us, catch this guy. Your son's a real hero. Or something like that. No, he says, hey, thanks for helping with that stolen car that you stole.
Yeah.
Which gets his dad angrily looking at him and chasing him around the grocery store.
And that is the end of the pilot. Almost.
Yeah, we go to behind the curtains where the police officers take the Chinese food and car keys that Kenan Kel still have. And Kenan announces that he's been grounded until he's 30. Again, like well beyond
yes
the scope of the show.
But it would be over by now.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's no longer grounded by his dad.
No, 24 years later, he is no longer grounded.
Yeah, if he's 15, so that's... The first one was a 6-year sentence, so another 9 years, I guess, for...
Yep.
Getting... For helping a police officer, I guess.
Helping a police officer arrest a criminal.
And losing $200.
Yep. Yeah, he never gets it back.
So I think he got the second half of the 200 back, because he only says he's out 200, but he didn't get the first half back.
Nope.
So half his life savings is gone, and he's grounded forever.
So that was quite the crash course. I have a feeling that the next episode, of course, the pilot's always hard to wrap our heads around. I have a feeling that the next episodes are going to be a little bit more succinct for us to kind of break down and talk about.
Yeah, there's only going to be one plot. And
yes,
I think,
not 3.
Yeah, in season 1's is a pretty classic from what I recall. So.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Before we wrap up here, I wanted to quick say I'll have a name for this segment eventually, but I ran the numbers about how much Kenan owes Chris and Kenan's out, and I want to keep this tally going like throughout the show.
Yes. we'll keep adding on.
Yeah, like I said, $2.50 for a box of cereal, 700 of them in 96 money. That's $1,743.
In 96 money.
Yeah, in modern day, that's like $2,900.
Yep.
Like, absolutely insane. Should get fired for losing that much money. Shouldn't have that much cereal sitting in the back to begin with.
There are so many non sequiturs in this episode. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's what makes this so enjoyable and so fun because there is no rhyme or reason to have 700 boxes of cereal. There's no rhyme or reason to have 21 people show up trying to sell you a car.
In each of those incidents is another 5 or 6 minutes. Like it's
oh yeah. And I mean, there's no reason that the radio station would call you who didn't even submit their number.
A lot of plot jumps.
There's no reason people would be excited about the circus tickets. That's people just don't get excited about that.
Oh yeah, no, it's
but it's fun. And this is why we love the show, because it's fun.
I just priced each one of the comics at $1,000. I counted 4 of them. So I'm saying all right, lowball, Chris owes them $4,000. Which is $6,500 nowadays.
Oh my gosh.
But they did drink 3 2-liters of orange soda and destroyed his poo-poo platter. So
right.
The current balance is Chris owes them $2,200 in 96 money, $3,700 in modern day.
Wow.
So it's a lot. I feel like, so I'm taking a guess now that he's going to pay that off within this season.
I have a feeling that enough stuff will get destroyed that is a negligible amount. And of course that is 4,000, that's 1,000 each. But it could just be 2,000, and then we could be talking about, almost even.
Yeah, that's a low ball on my end. So we'll see how much closer they get. I counted $30 in modern money for the poo poo platter. Do you recall where the Chinese food place was?
I know it was down the street. I don't remember what it was called.
At the corner on 6th and Lincoln.
Okay.
So I tried to be clever and actually pulled up a map of Chicago.
Oh my gosh!
to see if I could find a similarly placed Chinese food place. No luck, because there is a Lincoln Avenue, but I could not find. I don't think the streets in Chicago are listed by numbers.
Oh really?
Yeah, they've all got names and stuff. So
yeah, I was in Chicago over the summer. I don't remember the numbers. Maybe we're wrong, and all the Chicagoans will tell us about it. I hope so.
Please write in.
Yeah, please. So far, we have 0 listeners.
Yeah, that's true. At the moment, 0 people are listening. 0 confirmed listener. One more number for you.
Okay.
Kenan estimated that they went through 2 million Google Puffs.
Yep.
In 700 boxes, that's 2,857 per box.
Well, that is good to know. Thank you. That is a lot. That doesn't seem right.
I compared that to regular cereal numbers. It's actually in line with how many Cheerios per box. That's
really?
2,700. Yeah.
Oh, so somebody actually did some math. Somebody's we need Kenan to say a number here. Let me just do some quick.
They did the
research.
hard numbers. They counted that up, but they didn't they didn't run the numbers about how much 700 boxes would be.
I could see Dan Schneider and the writers of the show just giving somebody a job, one of their interns, okay, I need you to go get a box of Cheerios. I need you to pour them out.
Yep. So okay, I think we'll get into our final segment here, ratings.
Let's do it.
So I wanted to have a kind of official a status quo here. So IMDb.
Okay.
I believe they rank this episode 8.1 out of 10.
Wow.
Which is a pretty high.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know their whole range, but yeah, out of 61 votes, 8.1.
61 votes. Okay. And those are probably all fans of the show.
Yeah, you're not going to write a review of Kenan and Kel unless you're a fan.
No, of course.
So they probably
Not many critical analysis.
they probably skew high. But out of 10 bottles of orange soda, what would you give this episode?
I think I would actually give this episode 6 bottles of orange soda. Because, not because it was, at all not funny. But I think this show could be, I did feel a little rushed in the episode. I felt like that we were moving around a lot. Even in these sitcoms, you can still get some good character development. And I didn't see a lot from Kel. Didn't really see a lot from Kyra. And the parents too. It's like, what do they do? Who are they?
It's really a Kenan episode, which
it is.
It works, but it's not what the show is about.
Exactly. So knowing Kenan and Kel, knowing what the quality of the episodes and the humor that can come, this episode made me laugh. But I would give it 6 bottles of orange soda, maybe 6.5 if I am
Yeah, I was torn between 6 and 7 for a lot of it. 7's like that's a like the low end of a great episode, and 6 is like the high end of a good episode.
Yep.
And going through it and the logical jumps that it requires me to take, and the weird pacing, the lack of Kel, for sure. I think 6 is a healthy number, so I'm going to say that as well.
Okay, yeah, we were pretty much in agreement there.
Yeah. All right. So that concludes our first episode.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We know this might have been a little rough to get through. We came into this episode with hardly any structure and hardly any pre-planning. So
I think it turned out great.
I think it turned out good, yeah. But we will continue to improve from here. So if you enjoyed this, please give it a review, give it a rating, show us some love on wherever you're listening to it, and let us know if you have any questions. Or want to see something.
Yeah, I believe I think I set up a Twitter handle for us.
Oh, great. We'll see about getting all those social pages up and everything. And yeah, we'll work on that. And we'll get an email address too.
Come along for the journey, and tune in next time when I guess we'll do the second episode, The Tainting of the Screw.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. Well, this was fun, Adam. Thanks.
All right. Do you want to do the classic Kel send off?
Oh, here it goes.
Boon doon doon. All right. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. You can send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Kenan Kel Podcast.